call, please.
Mrs. Avery? Here. Mr. Gentile?
Here.
Mrs. Goldberg?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Hand? Mr. Dorn?
Here.
Dr. Parmenter? Here. Mr. Dees?
Here.
And Mrs. Carmen?
Here. Please rise for the flag salute and then this roll over. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. According to Protocol 231, this is meeting with the Director of Press Secretary and the Galloway Township Municipal Building on January 20th, 2018. May I have a motion to approve the minutes from the meeting of August 27th, 2018?
So moved. Second.
Thank you. I abstain. Are there any other abstentions? All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you. Reading of communications, please.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you, President Corman. We have no communications this evening.
Moving on to superintendent's report.
Thank you. I'll start with a school opening update, and it has been a very active and overall positive school opening. Myself, along with other district administrators, are getting out to all the schools to support the building administrators and staff in arrival and dismissal and welcoming the children. Lots of positivity. The first day of school was very exciting. Not a lot of tears, well maybe some parents, but certainly not the children. And overall, things are going very well. Like other years, and not just here in Galloway, but there are always some blips in transportation, and that is probably one of the greatest focuses of Ms. Nixon, along with our transportation coordinator in working with Greater Egg and Integrity, to looking at where things may be tiered incorrectly, routes too long. So there is a lot of energy putting into working out what may not just be getting used to the route, but rather something in the way that the company has tiered, for example, a middle school run, then an elementary run. Many of them work, but not all of them do. So we are actively working on that with critical attention going certainly if it's a special ed route or a preschool route with our youngest learners and our special needs children. In terms of the opening with staff, that was also quite positive. All the building administrators held opening meetings, covering everything from their school themes for the year to training that was received across the district. For the district opening, we did a Mission Impossible with the focus on possible theme. And all of the board members have in your seats the bag that all of our staff members received. And in the bag is a Galloway Township Public Schools lanyard. And this is something through our safety training is recommended that every staff member wears the same exact lanyard. So that in the event of an emergency, it's very easy to see who is a staff member. Guest teachers, visitors, volunteers will all have different colored lanyards. Again, so that in the event of an emergency, or even during a special event where there's a lot of people, you can very easily see that. We are giving these lanyards to you as board members. You all have a badge. And asking when you're coming to board meetings, if you're going to the school for a visit during the day for a special event, coming out to a nighttime event, that you also wear it along with us. You will also notice if you're looking at any of us, we're also wearing our keys and a whistle. We did give you this as well. The whistle is actually an emergency response tool. That in the event there was an emergency, you don't have your mobile device in your hand, you're not close enough to a phone where you could make an intercom call, that you could do 2 sharp blows on the whistle to alert other people that there is an emergency. So someone else can go call a lockdown or call 911. And this is just one example of things we received at different trainings that either myself or other administrators training we received. So these are just small things that can make a difference in the event of an emergency. And even on a day-to-day basis, when a parent comes to school, they can very clearly see who is a staff member. Also in your bag is a card. It's green, it's folded in half, and this was an activity that was part of the school opening for all staff. A video entitled "What Makes a Good Teacher Great" was shown, and this card helped people follow along. So what makes a good, and you could fill in if you were a custodian, a classroom assistant, a secretary, whatever your category was. Eats apples. Doesn't teach like a teacher. So it was very motivational and really got you thinking about how we interact and listen to our children. The video is about 15 minutes. If any board member would like to see the video that goes along with the card, I will be happy to send that link to you. Because we also feel, besides it being a message for staff, there's some great ideas in there for parents and certainly for adult relationships in terms of how we communicate and listen to each other. So a lot of positive things related to school opening, and as always, some things we are working to smooth out with 3,400 students and about 650 staff members. So any questions from the board about school?
Did you give out the whistles to the NFL referees for Thursday night?
That is not in the school budget, Mr. Newell.
They didn't get their land yet.
Not yet.
I can't help you with that one, Mr. Newell. I'm very sorry. Anyone else? Ms. Nixon, did you want to add anything?
No, just that the opening was very received by all the staff that attended, so I thank Dr. Clinton for a great planning and opening.
I should mention, we also have the Executive County Superintendent here to greet the staff as well. And his remarks were very positive to our staff, so we appreciate him being there. I'm going to move to district surveys. And as the board knows, surveys are not only a district goal, but a goal of mine. And so the main and number one survey that the board did ask us to do this fall is a safety security survey. So we did some research and looked at some other safety and security surveys. I then worked with Mrs. Westcott to draft something, and tonight was our first district community advisory committee meeting. Some of those folks have stayed for the board meeting, took that draft, got feedback from those members, and they helped us with other surveys. Joanna and I are going to work tomorrow, and we are actually going to launch these surveys starting Wednesday with the Reed's Road Back to School Night. Some parents may choose to do it at back to school night. Some parents may want to talk to their kids about some of the questions, but we are launching it Wednesday evening, and it will remain open with periodic reminders to families until October 15th, so that at the second October board meeting, I will be able to bring results to the board. The other survey that the board asked to be done was related to the middle school. And some very specific things were mentioned, for example, the enrichment intervention STEAM period. And I don't know that an entire survey can be created about just that one topic. So I'd like to ask the board, are there particular things that you're looking for specifically related to the middle school? For example, sports and clubs, arts and humanities options. We're hoping that middle school families will answer the safety survey, so we're going to be getting that through the other survey. But in working on this survey and getting some input from Mrs. Jumper, the principal who's here this evening, to help us develop it, I want to hear, are there very specific things the board is interested in learning about?
With the STEAM program? Yeah. It's STEAM, right? Regard.
Well, let me explain. There is an additional period at the middle school that was started last year. And some days of the week, the students are in Reader's Workshop. Some people may be familiar with that as a very specific, research-based instructional strategy for reading. On the other days of the week, the students are getting math enrichment and intervention. Part of that is very math-focused. There is also an advanced science piece to it. Part of it is also from that STEM or STEAM, the integration of science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics. So that is a 20-minute period that is part of an entire school day.
Can we survey the students to get input on what they feel about that time?
Yes, we can. And one of the things that I was talking to Mrs. Clarn and Mr. Days about is for our 7th graders, they're coming from elementary school, they've never even been in the middle school before. Our 7th graders going to 8th grade, their middle school experience has never been without that period. So they don't necessarily have a basis for comparison. I still think getting their feedback is fine. I don't know that we want it to be just about that. And that's where are there other parts of the day or their experience. For example, we could ask 7th graders about orientation and get feedback about that. Just any other things that the board has of interest.
What about something about homework? Right.
We did the homework survey last year, and there was middle school participation in that.
From the students and from the parents?
They could do it at home, and they had an opportunity to check that off, so we can look back at those results. But we did do an extensive homework survey last year.
Does anybody else have any questions or comments about that?
I have a question. Is the survey electronic or is it paper?
We generally do them electronically, but let people know if they do not have the ability to do it electronically, we will give them a paper copy, and then someone will input it. We try to keep it electronic as much as possible.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Should I give you enough guidance?
I think so.
Absolutely.
And one of the things we talked about was getting through the safety and security survey first, and then moving into the second survey after that.
And just so the board knows what we had discussed, Rich and I with Dr. Jane Clinton was getting the safety and security survey done, and I know we had given her a deadline of having the results of that STEAM survey on October 29th, but given that we're just sending out the safety and security, it really doesn't make sense to have them do it at the same time. So we're going to, I think, extend it and at least have the survey out by October 29th, and then possibly in November have the results at our November meeting instead of our October meeting. Does anybody disagree with that?
I will say, part of my only concern is how many days we have off in November. We can try.
We'll try. I mean,
Yeah.
but we wanted, I think that the issue was a timely result in communication with the board.
Absolutely.
So we'll keep that in mind. Thank you.
Good. And then the final item under the superintendent's report is the preschool lottery. And on the very positive side, our district is very pleased to have received over $600,000 in what is not really a grant, but is additional state aid. And I just want to address that for a moment. Preschool is not mandated other than for special needs children when they turn 3 years old. And over the years, we believe that getting children in before kindergarten is important. As everyone knows, the curriculum has gotten more rigorous at younger grades. And so for probably a decade, we've gotten about $100,000 in preschool education aid. If you think about one preschool classroom that can only have 15 children with a teacher and an assistant, plus all the supplies and materials, $100,000 does not buy very much. So when we started getting that a little over $100,000 in state, we opened up 2 classes at that time that, as per that aid, were for economically disadvantaged children. Then, 4 years ago, the federal government put a grant out that was a grant, meaning you had to apply for it and be approved. And we get over $1 million to do preschool expansion through that grant. That grant targets very specifically 4-year-olds, families at the 200% of the poverty level. And that has enabled us, if you're familiar with Pomona, we've added 2 very nice relocatable classrooms and have been able to pay the lease on those classrooms, the teacher, the assistant, the supplies and materials. If you've been to Pomona School lately, we have a phenomenal garden and new outdoor educational playground equipment that is just amazing through this preschool expansion grant. That grant ends this year. And unless the federal government decides to continue it, we will be out that
Just under 1.1 million.
under 1.1, thank you, Ms. Nixon, $1 million. And so last year, the state gave us a 2-week window to try to apply some more money. We couldn't pull it off in that short amount of time because we're not a district sitting with empty classrooms. This year they gave us less than a month. And so because we do not have space in the district, we needed to partner with someone else. We already have a partnership with Head Start with the preschool expansion grant. So we're looking to expand for the PEEA, Preschool Expansion Education Aid. We thought about private providers in the community. We knew that Garden State Academy had acquired Highland Academy's old building and had spent a lot of money to renovate it. We also had a lot of positive feedback from our families about that particular school. So we reached out to them. They were interested, started that conversation. We announced that we would be running this lottery, and there are no income eligibility requirements. There's not a threshold saying you can't make more than this, and there's not a threshold saying you have to be at a certain poverty level. Very quickly, we had tremendous response in continuing to work through the details. The Academy did come to us and say that they had a lot of families that were Galloway residents that already registered. And so in order to secure the grant, they asked to have some of the 30 slots be put in the lottery for children that were Galloway residents already registered in their school, and that we would pull the other slots from all of the folks that had no prior affiliation. We were not sure whether that was allowed, and we had some questions and concerns about it. So we did reach out to the Department of Education, and the Department of Education not only told us that it was allowable, the Department of Education, the woman we spoke to, indicated to us that it had actually been done before. So although our original intent was to have one big lottery and do all 30 names from that, at this point in time we had two choices: reach a compromise and do 15 slots into 15 slots, or lose all the money. And although it was not our original intent to handle it that way, we didn't want to lose this money. And even in talking to Ms. Beth Gardner from the state, she said, if you don't do this, those 15 children that are going to get pulled from your lottery will have nothing. They might not get to come to preschool at all. We also had a discussion that because this is coming in the form of state aid, we expect that when we get our state aid numbers in the spring, this 600 and some thousand plus the 100 we'll already get will all be in our preschool education aid. That is what we are being told. And so we're going to lose that $1 million. And we want to try to keep at least what we've expanded with the relocatables and the classrooms that we have this year at Rand and at Roland, that we don't lose the expansion that we have done. So we know there are some negative feelings about this. I did post a message on Facebook, and a couple of parents have reached out to me personally, and I'm either phone conferencing or conferencing in with them. But when the choice came down to nothing or something, we want to do what we can. We are strong advocates for preschool education, and anyone who's here this evening or who will watch this from the link on our website, we encourage you to write to your legislators, both at the federal and state level, to keep funding coming, especially for our 4-year-olds. The more 4-year-old children that we can assure have a quality preschool education, not daycare, a preschool education with a research-based creative curriculum, that helps our children when they enter kindergarten. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
less. We're striving for 195 at the end of this
pretty
year
close.
between Head Start, the
Yes.
school expansion grant, and
Close to 200.
Any other questions from the board? Moving on to curriculum instruction, please.
Thank you. This evening, we have 3 resolutions. One of them is on schooling, one of them is for our fall sports schedules, and one of them is to approve the dates for the New Jersey Consortium Program.
Thank you. Can I have a motion to approve items 1 through 3 under curriculum instruction, please?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Is there any board comment? Any public comment? May I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Gentile.
Yes.
Ms. Goldberg.
Yes.
Mrs. Avery. Yes. Mr. Gregg.
Yes.
Mr. Noor.
Yes.
Dr. Parmenter.
Yes.
Vice President Dace.
Yes.
And President Carter.
Yes. Finance and school operations, please.
Thank you. I'll turn the agenda to Ms. Nixon.
Resolution 1 and 2 are to approve preschool grant contracts for the private provider and also the cooperative agreement for the preschool expansion grant with the state of New Jersey. Resolution 3 is to approve submission and acceptance of the GTMS Environmental Club Galloway Clean Communities Adopted Park grant in the amount of $400. Resolutions under special education for number 4, 5, 6 are for approving home instruction or for approving tuition for out-of-district placement and tuition receivable students. Resolutions 7 through 10 are to approve non-public funding for supplemental instruction, guidance, teacher assistant, and evaluators. And resolution 11 is to also approve non-public funding for evaluators.
Thank you. Can I have a motion to approve items number 1 through 11 under finance and school operations?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there any board comment? Is there any public comment? May I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Gentile.
Yes.
Mr. Noor.
Yes.
Mrs. Avery.
Yes.
Ms. Goldberg.
Yes.
Mr. Gregg.
Yes.
Dr. Parmenter.
Yes.
Vice President Dace.
Yes.
And President Carter.
Yes. Do we have any updates for facilities and maintenance this evening? No? Good. Thank you. George, do you have anything?
We have no updates.
Thank you. Community use of school facilities, please.
Thank you. I do want to note that Dr. Parmenter did contact me with a few questions, and I appreciate that. So as I go over the answers, so all the board members have the information, I will share that. One of the questions was related to community use of school facilities and fees that we charge. Based on our board policy, if the group is using the school outside of regular hours, there is a custodial fee. There's also something in policy, although it's very rarely used, if they need technical assistance, there is a fee for that. Other than that, we do not charge general fees because we only allow nonprofit organizations to use our schools. And it's a way that the board has always felt we can support our community. We do have 3 items on here for approval, 2 Boy Scout items and a youth soccer item.
Thank you. Can I have a motion to approve items 1 through 3 under community use of school facilities?
So moved. Second.
Thank you. Is there any other board comment? Any public comment? May I have a roll call, please?
Ms. Goldberg.
Yes.
Mr. Gentile.
Yes.
Mrs. Avery. Yes. Mr. Gregg. Mr. Noor.
Yes.
Dr. Parmenter.
Yes.
Vice President Dace.
Yes.
And President Carter.
Yes. Moving on to personnel, please.
Thank you. The first item, and I do read these word for word, is a resolution to accept with regret the letter of intent to retire from Diane Philman, language arts teacher at Galloway Township Middle School, effective June 30th, 2019. Mrs. Philman has worked in the Galloway Township Public School District for 12 years, and her dedication and service to students and staff are appreciated by our entire school family.
Thank you. Can I have a motion to approve item 1 under personnel?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Is there any board comment? Any public comment? May I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Gentile.
Yes.
Mrs. Avery.
Yes.
Ms. Goldberg.
Yes.
Mr. Gregg.
Yes.
Mr. Noor.
Yes.
Dr. Parmenter.
Yes.
Vice President Dace.
Yes.
And President Carter.
Yes.
Thank you. Item 2 is to appoint Kevin Lightcap as the acting principal at Reeds Road Elementary School. This is for the months of September and October because we anticipate that Dr. Shapiro will return on November 1st. The stipend and account are listed.
Thank you. Can I have a motion to approve item 2 under personnel?
So moved. Second.
Thank you. Is there any board comment? pass along our well wishes to Dr. Zakara as well.
Thank you. The next series of items, I will just do highlights. We have a letter of resignation from a school psychologist, and we have posted for that vacancy. As part of federal grant requirements, we do have to formally list who is being paid through Title I. These are not new hires, but just the acknowledgement of how this funding is being spent. We then have approvals of full-time therapist, full-time special ed preschool teacher, full-time 8th grade science teacher, classroom assistants, and I will note in number 8 and 9, you see that there's a salary difference. You will also note that there's a degree difference. In our association contract, there are 3 levels of classroom assistants. One rate if you have 60 college credits or are non-certified. One if you have a bachelor's degree but not a teaching certificate, and then the highest rate if you have a teaching certificate. We also have one staff transfer. This is classroom assistant. And then we have reapproval of some substitute teachers, approval of new substitute teachers, as well as approval of a new substitute secretary.
Thank you. Can I have a motion to approve items 3 through 13 under personnel, please?
So moved. Second.
Thank you. Is there any board comment? Any public comment? May I have a roll call, please?
Ms. Goldberg?
Yes.
Mr. Gentile?
Yes.
Mrs. Avery? Yes. Mr. Grant?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Dr. Parmenter?
Yes.
Vice President Davis?
Yes.
And President Carter?
Yes, moving on to supplemental personnel.
Is it okay if I pause for introductions? Thanks, President Carmen. I'd like to introduce our preschool principal, Dr. Gross, who is the newest member of the Bone family here with us tonight. Well, sort of the newest.
I'd like to introduce Mrs. Sharon Foley. What's really interesting about Sharon, and I think something for the board to know, number one, because of the grant, Sharon is the recipient of scholarships out of Grow NJ Kids and was able to go back and start working on her P3 certification. And because of that, and her desire also to get special ed cert, we were able to recommend her hiring and moving from a classroom assistant in our building to being a teacher in our building. So we're glad to really have her on board and move up the ladder, but I think it's a key because we always talk about those that have come through the school system. Here's somebody that's been working in the district as a classroom assistant, becoming a teacher. So thank you very much for the recommendation of the superintendent and the board approving it tonight. Thank you.
So Sharon, you won't have to do a speech today since you're already on the plate. Now moving on to supplemental, please.
Thank you. We have the approval of a staff member, someone who is additional for writing training, as well as the staff who assisted with the new student evening registration hours.
Can I have a motion to approve items 1 and 2 under supplemental personnel?
So moved.
Second. Thank you. Is there any board comment? Any public comment? May I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Gentile?
Yes.
Dr. Parmenter? Yes. Mrs. Avery?
Yes.
Ms. Goldberg?
Yes.
Mr. Grant?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Vice President Davis?
Yes.
And President Carter?
Yes. Moving on to, I guess it's still supplemental job descriptions.
We have 3 job descriptions for approval on first reading, and I do want to emphasize these are not additional positions. These are all existing positions where we are changing the title and have made some minor changes comparing what has been in the job description to what is actually being done. One of the points that was brought to my attention was that on the Human Resources Manager, Administrative Assistant, in the qualifications, there was a statement about whatever is deemed by that HR manager, and that qualification was not in the other 2. So Ms. Nixon and Mr. Ruffy and I talked about that today, and we agree that we should take it out of all of that. So between this reading and the next reading, we will remove that.
Thank you. Can I have a motion to add on number 1, job description under supplemental, please?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Is there any board comment? Any public comment? May I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Gentile?
Yes.
Ms. Goldberg?
Yes.
Mrs. Avery? Yes. Mr. Grant?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Dr. Parmenter? Yes. Vice President Davis?
Yes.
And President Carter?
Yes. Moving on to policy. I think Jim, did you have a policy meeting?
Yeah, we had a policy meeting this
understanding that between the promulgation of this proposed policy and its first reading, the Department of Agriculture came out with supplemental requirements for this policy. So you'll be seeing this policy again at the October meeting with some minor amendments to it. Most of those are to the appendix of them, and they have to do with the fact that the Department of Agriculture has made purchasing procurement minimums consistent with the states at this point in time. If anybody has any questions, Brad, I'll have to
Did you want us to approve this as a
If
first
you
reading?
approve this one, you'll be seeing it again next time.
Thank you.
In addition, at this the policy committee meeting we had, I know there's some policies that folks have been interested in, and we reviewed proposed policies, with many of which we send back to the attorney for further review. But you will, over the next few months, be seeing policies with regard to electronic participation in meetings by board members, videotaping of board meetings, public participation in board meetings, and resignation and removal of board members. We've worked hard on these. I think they're consistent with statutes, in case we're interpreting those statutes, and I think folks will be pleased with what we come up with. And that's all I have. We'll be meeting again on October 1st. Thank you.
Thank you. Very good. I'm sorry.
No,
No,
we're
you
gonna vote.
said we still want to do that. Can I have a motion to approve items 1 through 3 under policy, please?
So moved.
Thank you. Any board comment? Any public comment? May I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Gentile?
Yes.
Dr. Carpenter? Yes. Mrs. Avery?
Yes.
Ms. Goldberg?
Yes.
Mr. Gregg?
Yes.
Mr. Noor?
Yes.
Vice President Dace?
Yes.
President Carmen?
Yes. Moving on to notice of public meetings, please.
Thank you. We do have another board meeting on September 24th, and then in October, we have 2 meetings on the dates as listed on the agenda.
Thank you. Special events.
Yes, as I mentioned, our first back to school night is Wednesday evening, and all the dates are listed. So I know one of the things we had talked about was trying to figure out which board members were able to attend which board meetings, and then I can notify the school administration of that.
Is anyone able to attend Pomona?
I'll take them.
Oh, okay. How about Martha Graham? Reeds?
I can't do these.
What day is the 12th? Does anybody know?
Tonight from tonight.
Thursday.
Oh, Wednesday?
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Oh, it's Wednesday?
It's Wednesday.
Oh, I can do reads.
Oh,
Yeah, I was really sad about
Perfect. Roland,
I can do those.
and I think I'm going to do that as well. Smithville?
I can do that.
No. And GTMS.
I can do that.
And that gets pre-recorded for GTMS, I believe. So if you would like to do that, it can be pre-recorded or you can do it live. Or you can do it live, your choice.
I'll figure it out.
Okay. So Mike and Jen. Great. That's wonderful. That is wonderful. Thank you, everybody. And then for the Galloway Township Golf Outing, John works really, really hard on this. Every year he puts on such a nice show. I know some of us play. If you don't play and you're free that evening, I would encourage you to just come to dinner. It is a really, really nice event. We have a lot of people who come out and play. It's just fun. The weather's usually good. John usually puts a really good day. So hopefully, I might just jinx it. John.
When's the last day you need? If anybody wants to contribute money for either dinner, to attend dinner, or to make a contribution, I need them by next Wednesday. So I can get your name, whatever is appropriate. But we're doing real well. We lost a couple high-level sponsors, but I coerced a couple of them to move up a little bit from their original, what they kicked in, and these were all new people.
Nice.
We really
And it's at a new place this year, right? Is that Mays Landing?
Yes, at Mays Landing this year, we had some difficulties I don't want to discuss last year, and it won't happen again, I guarantee you.
Thank you. Is there any other public comments coming before the board this evening? If you could just come to the microphone, state your name and whether or not you're a Galloway resident. Oh, there's a whole family. Yeah, sorry.
Thank you, Madam President, for recognizing me. Good evening to the board. My name is Jeff Rust. My wife Colleen and I have been residents of Galloway for 14 years. Colleen really wanted to be here tonight, but she found out that she had a conflict, and so when she found Galloway Township Public Schools. We have not been disappointed. In fact, our expectations have been exceeded. We appreciate the board, the administration, the faculty, and the staff. I'm here to share my thoughts on the dress code. My son is a graduate of Smithfield School and GTMS. He's rarely mentioned the dress code because it doesn't affect him. When I asked my daughter how her first day of 7th grade at GTMS was, she told me that leggings can't be worn as pants. We just bought her school wardrobe, and it's almost all leggings. The core values of TTPS are respect, hard work, integrity, diversity, communication, and excellence. Judging students based on their clothing choices is counter to valuing diversity if the clothing in no way affects student safety. The dress code unequally targets girls, and it is not consistent with how women dress today. Fingertip length or longer means leggings aren't considered pants. I work in both a university and a research lab, and colleagues wear leggings as pants. I don't have a single shirt that is longer than my fingertips. I don't have a single pair of shorts that are longer than my fingertips. Neither does my daughter. It also puts teachers in the position of having to judge students' clothing and creates the opportunity for unequal treatment. I would like to request that the board considers removing text from the dress code that, 1, specifically targets a group, and 2, is not related to student safety. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Is there any other comments? Just state your name when you come up to the microphone.
My name is Amy Rustin. This is my sister Clara.
Hi.
I hope she says something about that or is it a little bit.
If you could just move a little bit closer to the microphone, we can hear you.
Yes, please.
Thank you.
Got it.
You got it? Thank you.
Got it.
So I knew on the first day of school at GTMS that it didn't allow shorts to be shorter than fingertip length, which I thought was not very practical. And then I found out when I read the agenda book that you also can have shorts or shirts shorter than fingertip length when you're wearing leggings, which I think is basically considered a dress. And I don't think students should have to wear dresses if they have to wear leggings, because some people can't afford to buy jeans when they only have other things in the order.
Yeah, like our father already stated, we all have some thoughts about the dress code. We've got a little thing going. Would you like to start? Okay, so we find that the dress code follows some impractical standards, like as was already stated, fingertip length shirts and leggings are worn. Not a lot of people wear shirts that long. Also, as was previously stated, it's strictly for females. It's more targeted towards females, and there are more rules that directly regard females rather than male students. It has some higher standards that can be met by some families, like families can't afford nice clothing that fits the dress code or clothing that's appropriate for school.
It violates, I think it makes it seem like kids can't wear what they want. They have to wear something specific that the school enforces. And I think that kind of, some people express themselves through what they wear. They kind of show their personality through their clothing. And if they can't wear what they like, then it just, they can't really express themselves that well. If you won't, like, it won't reduce bullying to wear different clothes. It's not based on that generally. People at my school don't follow the dress code sometimes, and it doesn't change anything. It doesn't make it better or worse, and it, like, I don't see very much reason for it.
We also think that the dress code is irrelevant, as long as it's not affecting your schoolwork, which, unless it's affecting your safety, it really shouldn't. And then if it's affecting somebody else's schoolwork, they should bring that up to somebody. Like she said, also, it won't reduce bullying, and if anything, it might encourage it, because people will stick out if they don't follow the dress code like all the other students might. Some people would say it's more stressful, or I'm sorry, less stressful to have a dress code, because it's less stressful to get clothes that might look good. But in fact, it's more stressful, and this is coming from experience, to find clothes that fit the dress code that you can wear to school. Because obviously not all of your clothes will fall under that category. People say also that it could reduce discipline problems, but I've noticed, I've seen this happen. Fortunately, it's never happened for me. It will increase discipline problems. People will get in trouble. They'll receive level 1s for violating the dress code. And finally, another reason that could be argued for the dress code is that violations are offensive, like girls showing skin is offensive, boys wearing hats. I say that's a matter of opinion, and as long, again, as it's not affecting safety or like inability, your ability to learn and go to school, then it's not your problem. And if it is doing those things, you should bring that up to somebody, a teacher or an administrator or the person who is close. Thank you, and that's why we think that the Galloway Township School District dress code should be rethought and reformed.
Thank you. Before you guys leave, can I get your first names again?
William and Claire.
William and Claire. Thank you. Nice job, guys. Thank you. Is there any other public comment? I think we know you already. You can say your name and whether or not you're a Galloway resident.
My name is Renee Akel, and I am a Galloway resident. I go to FCM High School currently. Just want to say good evening, members of the board. As a former student of GTMS, I wanted to come and speak on the dress code because it was one of the things that bothered me the most as a student here. The reason for the dress code, if the reason for the dress code to be so strict on girls is that it distracts male students, and simply put, that is, it's enabling a culture that teaches young girls that they need to cater to the needs of their male students, well, of their male peers. It teaches boys that women are somehow complicit in their actions, and it sexualizes young girls through fingertip length of their fingertip length for shorts and shirts that have to be past your waist when you wear leggings. It's simply put sexist. So I urge you not to ask the females in the school to compromise their comfortability, and instead teach young men to respect women and not treat their peers like objects. Thank you.
Thank you, Reggie. Is there any other public comment this evening? Thank you all for your comments. Moving around the board, old business and new business. Dr. Carpenter?
I attended the new teacher orientation and also the guest teacher orientation, and I really enjoyed the presentations that were put on. I stayed for several hours both days, and I stayed because I was really enjoying what I was seeing. So thank you very much.
Thank you for attending as well. Madeline? Right?
Just thank you to the administration and staff for the hard work they've done to get ready for back to school.
Thank
That's
you.
it.
Jim? John? Rob? Rich? I as well want to thank the administration and facilities and maintenance for all their work at the schools. They consistently look really good every time that we open the school, so thank you. And just to give you guys an idea of what we worked on this week, Rich and I met with Dr. G. Quinto to discuss various items. We have payroll verification for August. I signed individual contracts for about 20 employees, reviewed tuition contracts for Mullica, Edward City, Port Republic, also Yale and Atlantic County Special Services. And one thing that as a new business, if you guys could start thinking about board retreat, the location and the date, the time of year that you'd be interested in having it, that would be great. If you could email me or text me before the next board meeting, I would appreciate it so that we can start getting information and getting things together. I know you already have an agenda started with things that we want to discuss. Okay? Do we have executive session this evening? No? Okay. We have motion adjourned. Second. All in favor? Aye.